Before we move on to the video on rounding, let's begin by doing a recap of place values. Let's begin with an example of 2 million. I've got various place values. My first one, starting from the right, is my single digits. I've then got my tens, my hundreds, my thousands, my 10,000s, my 100,000s, and then my millions. So usually we put a comma after 3 zeros or 3 numbers to make it a bit easier to break up. And we know a number with 6 zeros or 6 digits behind it is a million. When it comes to rounding, we need to look at the place value after the numbers. Let's say I need to round this number to the nearest 10. I know my tens digit is here. So I need to look at the next place value. Is that 5 or bigger? Yes, it is. And because it is, I need to round my tens digits up to 20. My final answer here would be 220. So I've rounded up my tens digit from a 10 to a 20. So let's pick another example, 589. Let's say the question asked, give the number to the nearest 100. I need to then look at the place value after the 5. So after the 5, which is in the 500s, I've got 8. Is 8 5 or above? Yes, it is. Therefore, my answer is 600. The same thing applies to decimals. So for example, if I've got 5.21, let's say the question says round to 1 decimal place. 1 decimal place means 1 number after the decimal. I look at the next number, so the next number is a 1. Is that 5 or above? No, it's not. So I keep my number at 5.2. And the last example is significant figures. So let's say the question says, give your answer to 2 significant figures. You usually start from the left hand side. So I've got 5.2. Is my next number 5 or above? So the 8 is bigger than 5. So my final answer is 5.3. Correct to 2 significant figures. So pause the video here and have a go at the worksheet. Question 1. Write down 4.27 to 1 decimal place. I look at my first decimal place, then I look at the next number. Is that 5 or above? Yes, it is. My 7 is bigger than 5. My final answer is 4.3. If you're not sure whether you've got the right answer, think about the decimal places here. My final answer, I've got 1 decimal place, which matches up with what they're asking for. If you've got an answer such as 4.28, let's say you thought maybe that was the answer, you can see I've got 2 decimal places here. I've got 2 numbers after my decimal point. Be mindful of how many decimal places the question is actually asking. Next question, 248 to the nearest hundreds. This is my hundreds column. Is the next number 5 or above? No, it's not. So I round down. So 248 is closest to 200 rather than 300. And that makes sense as well. So make sure you sense check your answers while you go along. 4.60 to 1 decimal place. I look at the place value after 6. Is it 5 or above? No, it's not. So my final answer is 4.6. Next question, 873 to the nearest 100. 8 is in the hundreds column. Look at the next column. Is it 5 or above? Yes, it is. So I round up. So 8 turns into 9. So my answer is 900. As I was saying previously with sense checking, 873 is closer to 900 than it is to 800. So that makes sense. Next question, 6.1282. Correct to 3 decimal places. So this is my 3rd decimal place. Is the next number 5 or above? No, it's not. So my answer is 6.128. Next question, 7.3215. Correct to 3 dp. So dp is the same as decimal places and sf is the same as significant figures. I look at the 1, which is in my 3rd decimal place. Is the next number 5 or above? Yes, it is. So I round up. So I get 7.322. Next question, 9,271 to the nearest thousands. Look at my thousands column. Look at the next place value. Is it 5 or above? No, it's not. My final answer is 9,000. So hopefully you're getting the hang of the questions. We're just looking at the place value that's in the question up here. You can put an arrow if you like, if that helps you. You look at the next place value after, and if your place value is 5 or above, you need to round the previous number up. Or in our case, for this question, our next number, which was the 2, wasn't above 5, so we kept the 9 where it was, so our answer remained as 9,000. Next question, 2,438 to the nearest 1,000. put an arrow at the 2, which is in the thousands column. Is the next one 5 or above? No, it's not. This number is closer to 2000 than it is 3000. Getting a bit more trickier now, so significant figures. So significant figures, as I said, we start from the left hand side because that is the biggest place values. We've got single digits, we've got tens, we've got hundreds, and we've got thousands. Because thousands is the biggest, that's the most significant figure. We look at this place value. Is the next one 5 or above? Yes, it is, so I need to round it up. I can't round up 9 into a normal number, so I need to then round all the way up to 10. So my final answer here becomes 10,000. And that makes sense because I've got one significant figure over here, which is the 1, and my answer is correct to one significant figure. Next question, 120.196, correct to two significant figures. So I've got one figure, two figures. Is the next number 5 or above? No, it's not. So my final answer is 120. Next question, 8.0274, correct to 3 decimal places. So 1, 2, 3. Is the next one 5 or above? No, it's not. So 8.027 is my answer. The next question is 51091.3, correct to 3 significant figures. So working from the left to the right. Is my next number 5 or above? Yes, it is. So I round up my number to 51,100. Next question, 1923.34, correct to one significant figure. Is the next place value 5 or above? Yes, it is. We need to round up, so that gets rounded up to 2000. Next question, 0.1532, correct to two significant figures. So you need to be careful with this question because we've got 0, and a 0 at the start is not significant. So if you've got 0 in front of any numbers, that's not significant. So I've got my first significant figure, my second significant figure. Is the next number 5 or above? No, it's not. So my final answer is 0.15. And my final question, 2,914,619, correct to the nearest million. We know the million is the 7th column here. Is the next number 5 or above? It is. So my final answer here is 3 billion. So hopefully all of that made sense. Have a go at the bigger worksheet on the website. If you've got any questions, ask them in the group sessions. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.